What is going on, my beautiful LARPers and LARPettes? Today, I'm going to be doing something a little bit more fun. I don't really do videos like this just because I didn't know if there's any interest out there, but I've sparked a new interest, or I've re-sparked an interest that I had when I was a kid, and I kind of been off the rails right now. I'm watching a ton of videos from Mr. Ballin, the strange, dark, and mysterious. So specifically videos about cryptids. Cryptids. Titties. These strange, dark, and mysterious Bigfoot, Wendigos, skinwalkers, those freaking skinwalkers. I know there's some in my backyard. If you guys are watching this, I got your freaking number. I got something for you, and I'll explain it in a second. But I've been wanting to make a little mini series just on how I would prep myself, or how I would do things versus like cryptids, skinwalkers, or Bigfoots and stuff like that. Everybody always goes off of like, hey, I want a gun for shit hits the fan, or World War III, or truck gun and stuff like that. But I feel like it's a little bit more fun to prepare for something that is unknown, right? So in this video, I'm going to give you guys my ultimate cryptid gun, or cryptid defense gun for 2025. But before I get into that, what is my relationship with the companies that I have on this gun? So Pard USA, this Ocelot 640 thermal right here, they did send out to me for review, and this Smith and Wesson FPC 10mm, they did send me out to review too. So thank you guys for making this video possible. I'm gonna have a ton of fun with this. So what would even be the criteria of creating a gun around Bigfoot or Wendigos or skinwalkers? You gotta know thy enemy, right? Bigfoot, a big, giant, furry beast of a thing that is very evasive for some reason. And a Wendigo that will eat human flesh. Skinwalkers, those are the major one that I wanted to make this one for here. I feel like for a Bigfoot, I would have to use a different one, but I still think this gun might be able to do some work. But let's go ahead and talk about this one here in general. This is the Smith and Wesson FPC 10mm, and I also have the Pard Ocelot 640 thermal. Now, why do I have a thermal on top of this foldy boy right here? So I first was going to put a red dot on here, but if I'm looking for something that's mysterious, can't be caught or can't be seen, I need to see it in the dark. And even with night vision on, I may not be able to make out a big giant 8-foot furry ape, or a hairless skinny Wendigo, or a human or animal that may be in the shape of a deer, which is a skinwalker. But I need a thermal on top of here because I need to detect anything with a heat signature. So as far as I know, Bigfoots are a little bit more, I guess you can see heat off of them, apparently, from what I've seen on Bigfoot files and stuff like that. And when it comes to a Wendigo, I don't really know too much about Wendigos other than a couple video games I've played. Until Dawn, you've probably seen the movie. The movie's pretty much trash, and just stick to the games. The games, apparently, Wendigos are people that are cannibals, and if you eat another person, you turn into this skinny, hairless monster. But I feel like they're still alive, and they might have a heat signature, so this thermal still might work. On a more serious note, when it comes to skinwalkers, I've also read and heard stories from hunters and other individuals that have actually seen skinwalkers through thermal. So I can kind of see that thermal will probably work for skinwalkers, but especially if they're taking shape of animals out there, deers and coyotes and stuff like that, wolves. Again, guys, stick with me. I know you guys are probably looking at this video like, what did this guy do? Is he off the rails? But I just want to have fun. Everybody wants to make a zombie apocalypse gun and stuff like that. So I'm just going off of something that I'm just into right now, which is cryptids. But a thermal on top of your cryptid firearm is going to be crucial, just because I think that every cryptid out there, from Dogman and Mothman, they're probably going to, I made a fart noise with my mouth, they're probably going to have a pulse and be warm-blooded. Now this up here is the Pard Ocelot 640. A couple of key features that you're going to see on this one is a zoom function, focus knob. You're going to have quiet buttons here. So those of you guys that are actually using these to hunt, this is going to be a good feature here. So that way when you're going through all the settings and stuff, you're not making those clicking noises and potentially scaring off your game. So that's a good function to have. So you Bigfoots or Wendigos or skinwalkers, you freaking skinwalkers, you're not going to hear me coming. You have a USB-C charging port right there. You have a little slot where you can put your memory card. Then you have the button to turn it on this side, which is also quiet. The resolution is extremely crisp. The 640 is probably like the top tier that you can get from Pard, which makes for a very, very nice resolution. I can make out pretty much anything out there, from like a little mouse or a rabbit or, again, you skinwalker bastards, I'm gonna know you're out there. But the resolution on this is top notch. And when you're looking at Pard's website, you're gonna be able to tell which one's like the lower end ones and the higher end. The 640 is just basically go off the resolution. I think they have like a 240 and then it goes all the way up to 640. And then like a 420. I'm probably getting all the numbers wrong. But anyways, the lower the resolution, the cheaper it's going to be. Keep coming out of frame here. The higher the resolution, obviously, the more expensive this is going to be. Now, I have reviewed a lot of other Pard optics on my page. Gosh dang it. One of them was just a big screen, and tactically sound, it wasn't really my cup of tea when it comes down to doing something like this, as far as hunting down something that might be intelligent. If you get a screen in front of you, you get that light projecting on your face, they're going to see you from a mile away. Now, there was another optic I reviewed, which was the Pantera is the second one. That one was a little bit better for me because you get this little eye cup here that can contain a lot of that light and doesn't shine into your eye once you have that shoved up in there like an octopus sucking on your eyeball. So you get that element of surprise while you're looking through that viewfinder there. But this one here is probably one of my favorite ones to put on a, I guess, survival or battle setup or a get to work type setup here, right? It's really robust feeling, and it also, the way the mount is set up is kind of like what intrigued me to put it on this gun specifically. So the way the mount sits farther back kind of looks odd on like an AR-15 or something like that, but on the FPC here, it looks funky when it's folded like this. It makes it a little bit longer by like that much. You can still fit it in a backpack or put it in your car or something like that, and it's going to be really nice and tucked in. But when you unfold it is when it makes it look really nice, just because that optic now comes farther back into your, I guess, field of view, to your eyeball essentially. And with that, on the FPC, that's one of the downsides that I don't like on this, is that you get only rail space from where the barrel is all the way to the front. So you have nothing back there that you can put an optic on. So if you did put an optic kind of like this offset red dot there, and I'll get into that in a second, it's kind of too far forward for me. So if I put a red dot, it'd be sitting right here. I do like that this Pard Ocelot sits all the way back to my eyeball. Now, a couple more features before I move on from the Pard optic here is going to be that it has onboard recording. So if you do catch a skinwalker or a big furry ape, you'll be able to have some evidence. I don't know why. With the technology out there nowadays, there is no evidence, real evidence, well, in my eyes, on what the freak a Bigfoot is, or if there's even a skinwalker out there. Who knows, nowadays with the whole AI craze going on, there might not be able to differentiate what's real or not anymore. But if if you own one of these, you can get some good evidence out there. So I'm gonna make it my life goal to at least catch something on camera for you guys. Also, a cool thing about the onboard recording is it'll start recording even if you forget. So if you bring this gun up and fire around, it'll record, I think, a couple seconds or so before that shot went off, but it'll record basically off of the vibrations from shooting your round. So again, if you don't have time to catch that skinwalker creeping up on you, give him a couple shots in his chest and you have some evidence in your hands. Now, aside from the onboard recording, you do have different reticle options. So if you want just a little, I guess, like X, or you have a grid and all these other different reticle options and reticle colors depending on the flavor that you want. And also the color palettes of the thermal itself. You got like black hot, red hot. There's like the predator mode. I keep saying predator mode, but like, you know, like the alien versus predator thing where it's, you get that rainbowish color. Now this also has a built-in rangefinder and ballistic calculator. So if you're not using like this 10 mil here and you're using it on something a little bit bigger and you're too afraid to go into the woods on your own and just want to shoot them from a distance away, you can very well give yourself you can put all the info and dope information into this optic, and obviously the rangefinder is going to help you figure out what range you need to use for the specific dope that you have inside of this optic. But sorry guys if I'm nerding too much about the Pard optics. I really like these optics as far as thermal capabilities go, and even if you're not doing this fun stuff like I'm doing now with the Cryptids, I still think it's a viable option for just self-defense in general, or just a survival gun. So like a shit hits the fan gun or a truck gun, you can have it in there and go to work with this and not have any issues. The biggest downside to this is, again, you got that little viewfinder there. It's pretty big when you put your eye up to it. You can see a good amount of the area, but as far as, again, tactical, you want to be able to see around you too. So that's kind of why I put this little Offset Strike Industries red dot there. So I still got to put a couple things on here like a flashlight and see where I can put a grip and stuff like that. But if I'm looking down this optic here and I can't really see anything around me at night, I would want to turn on my flashlight and move over to my offset red dot and get to work that way. But moving on from the Pard Ocelot, I have the meat and potatoes here, which is the Smith and Wesson FPC 10mm. When I heard that they were making one in 10mm, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to have it, because you guys might be a little bit weirded out, but I'm a pretty big fan of the Kel-Tec Sub 2000. It's one of those guns where I'm kind of like, why do I even own one of these? But I'm kind of glad that I own one because it's cheap. I could just throw it anywhere I want to and not really care about it because it's so cheap, and it's foldable, and I get a 16-inch barrel out of a foldable little gun. But one of the things that I really wanted out of this is a 10 mil. Now they actually make one, so I got to get one of those in my hands. But for now, I am using the Smith and Wesson 10mm foldy boy, and I think I'm going to probably prefer this one over the Kel-Tec, and I'll get into that right now. So on the Kel-Tec, this is the Gen 3, I believe. Hopefully I got that right, but this one folds to the left or to the right, and you can lock it down like that. You can have your optics on there still, but it kind of gives the profile a little bit wider depending on what you have on it. But on the Gen 2, it was only able to be folded this way. Come on with the beeps. And when you fold it down completely, you weren't able to put optics on there. You would have to get some upgrades for it to get optics on there. So if I were to put this Pard optic on this one, I think it'll be kind of, for one, probably too heavy for this little tiny gun here, or this skinny gun. But two, if it's sitting here, right, it'll look kind of big and bulky for the way it sits here. It'll bring that profile pretty damn big on this gun here. So I think for this Pard thermal, it mates perfectly with the FPC 10mm there. Again, it looks big and bulky and funny there, but it's when you unfold it where the magic really happens. So I have a 16-inch barrel to get some good velocity out of the 10mm rounds, and I do have a threaded barrel at the end of that. So if I wanted to add a suppressor so the other skinwalkers or Bigfoots out there don't want to hear me taking down some of their mates, I'm going to have some quiet business for you. But the 10mm, let's talk about that. Why do I want a 10mm? So I live in an area where there's probably some black bears and bobcats and who knows what else is out there. So realistically, I usually carry a Glock. What's the 10 mil model? Like the Glock 20? I think it's a 20. But I usually carry a 10 mil something on my hip when I'm out there in my backyard or in the woods or hiking or something like that. I'm with my kids. I just want something that I know is going to work against bears and stuff like that. And if it works against a bear, it'll probably work against a Bigfoot or a skinwalker or Wendigo or something like that. Now, I don't have any specialty 10mm rounds. I use Supervel hollow points when it comes down to self-defense, but this does come with 3 15-round mags, so that is 45 rounds of 10mm, so a good amount of lead that I'm able to send into one of those naked or furry bastards. Now, as far as shootability goes on this guy, this thing is extremely smooth for what it is. I think it has to do with the weight. This is a pretty heavy gun. Like, I would probably not want to carry this in a backpack all day just because it feels like it's super heavy, just especially with that optic on there. But I'm super confident with this optic and the rounds in there. I can get some work done. Now, a couple more features on this. It has M-locks pretty much all the way around that freaking rail there, so you can put any accessories that you want. Again, it does folds to the left. Kind of weird to put it on this little charging handle thing here. And on the charging handle, this is probably one of the things that I hate about this gun, is that it's a pain in the freaking ass to get pulled back. Again, I probably shot a good 500 rounds to this thing, and it is not getting any smoother on that charging handle. So I think there needs to be some sort of a redesign or something on that charging handle where it's going to make it a little bit easier to kind of rack back. I think I actually smacked myself in the face one time when I was pulling this charging handle back. I think I punched myself in the nose. But aside from that, I think the FPC 10 and thermal optic on top of this is a great combination for cryptids or for you more realistic guys out there for a like shit hits the fan survival gun. You know, this probably wouldn't be like my primary choice for going to war or something like that. A home defense type gun. This is one of those guns that I would want to keep in a bag or keep in my truck, and if I'm ever out somewhere and like, dang, I didn't bring out my AR-15, at least I have this guy here with a thermal on there so you bastards can't hide from us. But overall, that's what I think the ultimate little cryptid, Bigfoot, Wendigo, skinwalker setup is. Again, I want to get into all the other cryptids out there like Dogman and Mothman and all that stuff, but I think I should create like a little mini series on just every cryptid that's out there, right? So like I should do, what gun would I choose for specifically for Bigfoot, or what gun should I choose specifically for Dogman or something like that, and find some silver bullets or something. I think this is going to be a fun little series, and I want to capitalize on it because again, I'm having a ton of fun just doing research and stuff on all these different types of weird creatures out there. As far as ghosts go, sorry, we're kind of effed when it comes to those guys. But thank you guys for watching so much. I really appreciate you all. Let me know if you would carry or use this gun against some of those weirdos out there or creatures, right? Love you all. Catch you in the next one.